Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an Arcane Trickster build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. Now this is probably one of the most neglected classes in the entire game, and there's pretty good reason for it, but this can be useful and there may be some updated changes coming soon to this class. So we're going to go with the Rogue here. I do think the Rogue's probably one of the weakest classes in Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm going to show you how to do this. So we're going to want our dexterity to be pretty high. Our three main stats will be intelligence, constitution, and dexterity. So get your intelligence up to at least 16, although you can use the warped circlet of intelligence. This is got early in Act 1, and it'll set your intelligence at 17, which is the same thing as 16. So you can go with that, or you can if you have the circlet of intelligence, dump your intelligence and put the rest into like charisma if this is the face of your party. You don't typically want to have your charisma that low, but we're going to go with something like this for our stats. Now, you do get 4 skill proficiencies and double proficiencies, so sleight of hand and stealth are kind of like the two best, I would say, to go with, as this is just perfect for a rogue. Now, as we go through the levels, there's some good gear that I'll be talking about what to use, but this is pretty free. The rogue is adaptable. They can use a lot of different things. Now, at level 2 rogue, we just get ourselves the cutting action, hide, dash, and disengage, so being able to use a bonus action to dash is quite nice, especially for closing distances on the battlefield. Now we get to choose ourselves our subclass, and we get our racial stat there. Thief is great for multiclassing because you get that bonus action, but again, we're doing Arcane Trickster for this build, as it's a very interesting build. For cantrips, you get your choice. If you're the face of the party, take friends 100%. Minor Illusion actually works fantastic here because you can use Minor Illusion, it'll draw enemies away, and you can hide in the shadows and sneak up behind them to backstab. So this is a great one, but if you have someone else that has Minor Illusion, let them use Minor Illusion, switch to you. Shocking Grasp is another really great one. I like Ray of Frost and Shocking Grasp. I would say, though, Minor Illusion is great if you don't have anyone else that's using it, because there's a lot of utility to have that. Now, for our spells, we don't get the great amount of options that others get, but sleep is great early on, as it gives you the ability to put someone to sleep for a combined 24 health points. So early in the game, there's a lot of goblins that have like 8 health, and sometimes you hit them, they don't die. You can use sleep to put them all to sleep, and then that just tips the action economy in your favor. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is also another decent concentration, so we'll go with those. Disguise Self also works here, as this is about an Arcane Trickster. It just makes sense to have that. So you can take off Tasha's and put on Disguise Self. We also get one of the expanded spell slots. Now, there's a few really good ones here. Shield being the one that stands out to me. When you are about to be hit by an enemy, you increase your armor class by 5 or take no damage from Magic Missile. Very nice. Long Strider's another really good one. This increases a creature's movement speed by 3 meters and it lasts until long rest. And Magic Missile, the classic damage dealer that does not miss. Chromatic Orb is also a great one because you can choose the damage type. And then Find Familiar is good too. The nice thing about Chromatic Orb is you can make it cold or lightning damage, so if there's water set up, double damage. So that does 48 damage early on at max, which is really nice. But we're going to go with Shield, just due to the sheer usefulness of having Shield in reducing the damage you'll take or the chance of getting hit. So that is pretty great there. We also get Mage Hand, and this gives us the Mage Hand Legerdemain, although this doesn't fully work like it does in Dungeons & Dragons. So in D&D, you can use this. This hand is invisible, so that's great. And you can also cast Aid on it, which will increase its health points. So it can be quite useful, but what makes the Mage Hand Legerdemain so great in D&D is the fact that you can like pick locks with it, you can pick up items with it, and there's just a whole lot, like you can disarm traps. There's just so much more you can do with it than in this game. I feel like they will be updating this in the future to allow for you to do different things with the Mage Hand Legerdemain to make it more similar to the Dungeons & Dragons version. So wait and see, I guess. It kind of sucks that it's not as good because people typically in tabletop Dungeons & Dragons, the only rogue subclass ever picked is the Arcane Trickster. Now coming into Baldur's Gate 3, this is the only class that's like literally never picked. So we get to pick another spell here. Go Color Spray and Blind up to a combined 33 health points, but Disguise Self just gets my pick there, and you can also replace spell. So here we get an ability score improvement, and there's a couple ways we can go about doing this. We can bump our intelligence up, but I don't think that's going to be the best return on investment. I think it's best to just take constitution dexterity up a little bit higher, because this is going to give us the +4 to dexterity checks, and it can increase our armor class, and it can increase our weapons damage. At level 5 rogue, we get uncanny dodge, so when an attack hits you, you only take half the usual damage, so that's nice. Really great just to have that overall for the utility it brings. Being a drow half-elf, you get darkness. Super useful spell to have, and you can only use that once per long rest, but it's pretty good. So level 5 is pretty dry for the Arcane Trickster themselves. Now level 6, we can take two different skills here. So these are great if you're the face of the party, but you can also go with something like acrobatics, which will resist being shoved. So with one of those there, you find good. Again, another dry level for the Arcane Trickster. So once we get into level 7, this is where we get ourselves evasion. When a spell or an effect would deal damage on a successful dexterity saving throw, it deals no damage if you succeed and only half damage if you fail. So in addition to the uncanny dodge, we're further reducing the damage that we're going to be taking. And then we also get another level 1 spell and level 2 spell slot. And we get more spells. Some great options here. Mirror Image will give yourself +9 armor class. Every time you get attacked, -3, -3, -3. That's great if you find that your Arcane Trickster is dying often. Phantasmal Force is okay, but I do think Hold Person is probably the best here. Now, hold a human enemy still, they can't move, act, or react. Attacks from within 3 meters are always critical hits. So, that gets pretty good with a rogue. So, you can use Hold Trickster, or Hold Person, run up, and stab them. And that's pretty solid. Now, again, the Arcane Trickster is just missing out on stuff that the other classes would get, like a Wizard, Sorcerer, etc. Now, for our next level of expanded spells, there's some nice ones. Scorching Ray can be a decent damage-dealing spell here. Misty Step allows you to move around the battlefield. Super useful, but I do think the best one to go with here is actually Magic Missile. Reason being, this is one of the few spells that's guaranteed to hit, and it can hit creatures that you don't really see. Like, if there's something in a building, it can go through the window and around and hit them. So that, I think, ends up being better than Scorching Ray, and you can upcast it. So it's not like you're missing out on a level 2 spell. You can make it a level 2 spell. And we also get another feat at level 8. So there's two great ways we can go about doing this. We can increase our dexterity even further, or we can go with the dual wielder. So you can use 2-weapon fighting even if your weapons are light, and you gain a +1 to armor class of wielding weapons in each hand. +1 armor class and the ability to change up your weapons. Pretty nice. Ability improvement dexterity is another choice. Alert is another good one. +5 to initiative is always nice. And you can't be surprised. So if you're like going into battle without really expecting it, you're going to be able to move while the rest of your team doesn't. But dual wielder, I think, is probably one of the better ones to go with here. So we'll go with that. Now, for rogue level 9, we do get our subclass feature, Magical Ambush. While you're hidden, your targets have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells. So there's not a whole lot of like use for this. I mean, it does help out when you're hidden. You can do kind of like stealth attacks with your magic. Usefulness, debatable. Like, it does help a little bit, but not super great. And then you also get the replace a spell if you want to switch out your spells. So next, level 10, we get ourselves another cantrip. So you can go with Ray of Frost, add in the cold damage, and this is 3 to 24 now, so it's just 3d8. At level 1, level 5, level 10, you get an extra dice to deal damage with these cantrips. So I think Ray of Frost is probably one of the better ones. The reason being double damage from water. Bone Chill can be okay as well to stop healing. And then we get to pick another spell. So Invisibility is the one that stands out to me. Touch a creature and turn it invisible. If it attacks against it at disadvantage, and it attacks with advantage. So for a concentration, that's one of the better ones. Mirror Image is another really great one to give yourself +9 armor class. So either one of these works great. And then for our feat, we get another feat here, which is kind of nice. We can go with an ability improvement, or we can go with Alert. Those are probably the two best. You can, if you don't want to take a if you don't want to take another multiclass, like we can multiclass at level 12 because there's not a whole lot that you can get. You can take moderately armored to give yourself proficiency in medium armor, and then give yourself +1 to strength or dex. I'm just going to go ability improvement and increase dexterity because I just think that's probably the best case for this build, as it just needs every tip it can get. So at level 11, reliable talent, when you make an ability check with a skill you're proficient in, the lowest you can roll in the dice is 10. So nice little bonus, reliable talent. I would take probably mirror image for our final spell that we would get, and then for our final level, there's a couple different ways we can go about doing this. So we do get a feat. That's all we get at level 12 though. What we can do is add in the fighter, because this gives us a fighting style, and we can take a +1 to our armor class, and it also gives us a self heal, which is just nice to have. You can also go with a cleric and go war domain, which will give us the bonus action attack, which is quite nice. We're able to attack again, and then you get a few different spells that you can take. Unfortunately, our wisdom is extremely low, so we would only be able to get one spell, but if you're using like a dump stat like the Constitution Amulet, you could go all in on wisdom, or if you're using your intelligence band or headband, you can take intelligence down and put your wisdom up to get more spells. But I think that adding in fighter is probably our best bet here, because we're going to get ourselves defense, which gives a +1 armor class. Archery gives increased chance to hit with archer attacks, so that can be good, but defense +1 armor class, pretty nice. And we get the ability to wear any armor and use any weapon, so that's probably better than a feat, considering we already have 3 feats. So we got 26 armor class with this, and then if we pop on our mirror image, we get ourselves 35 armor class. So this can get pretty decent defensively. The reason I said it like that is because this class is just weird in general. We could even go higher if we had the ring to take it to 36, and then the cloak to take it to 37. So that's pretty good. Helm about at 37 armor class, you're not very likely to get hit, because this actually scales like really well. I'm using the Helm of Baldur, but there's lots of different options for headpieces that you can use. Mask of Soul Perception, get increased initiative and attack rolls. I like Baldur's helmet because it'll give you health at the start of the turn, +1 armor class and saving throws, can't be stunned, and can't get hit by criticals. It's just effective, and we need every little piece that we can get with a build like this. Deathstalker Mantle just makes sense. If you're the Dark Urge, take this. If not, take the Cloak that gives you +1 armor class. That's fantastic. Or the Cloak of Displacement to get disadvantage whenever they attack you. I really like the Armor of Agility because we're going hard on our dexterity. So this adds our full dexterity to our armor class plus the 17 armor class I already have. So that can be pretty nice. And then we have the Dark Justiciar Gauntlets, which will deal an additional 1 to 4 necrotic damage on each attack. So adding damage die where you can is great. There's a lot of different options though that you can go with for what you can run with. If you take another level of fighter, you can go the Gauntlets of Surge and Accuracy, so they'll give you an advantage on attack rolls when using Action Surge. I like the Evasive Shoes, +1 armor class is just straight up good. Like no denying it. Now for the amulet, I like the Surgeon's Subjugation Amulet to give yourself a Paralyze on critical hit. Can be very useful. But also the Amulet of Greater Health can take your health up quite a bit, so that's also nice. And then also the Psychic Spark will give your Magic Missile an additional missile, so it can get a little bit better. It just really depends on what you want to roll with. I like Risky Ring for advantage on attack rolls, but we can also go with like Ring of Regeneration to heal. Even the Crypt Lord Ring to give yourself Create Undead, so you have one summon that can at least give you a bit of tanking. I think that's pretty good. And then Killer Sweetheart, next critical hit will be, or next attack will be critical hit. And you can choose when to use this, so this is pretty nice as well. Killer Sweetheart's great. Now for weapons, I'm using the Knife of the Undermounted King. Reduce the number you need to roll to hit a critical hit by 1, so that's just great. Being able to hit more criticals is great. And whenever you roll 2 damage or less, re-roll the die and take the highest result. So that's fantastic. Really great weapon. And you have an advantage on attack rolls against lightly or heavily obscured targets, so if they're in darkness, all the power to you. Very great. Rhapsody as well. Gain +1 to attack rolls, damage, and spell save DC for every foe you slay, so you can get +3 damage and +3 attack rolls, so a much higher chance of hitting, and then spell save DC, nice too. Possibly inflict bleeding when hitting a target while hiding or invisible, so bleeding is nice to just be able to add that on. I like to have the Hellfire hand crossbow to possibly inflict burning when hidden or invisible. And then you can also follow that up with actually the Fire Stoker, which is going to deal an additional 1d4 piercing damage whenever you hit a burning target. So they go hand in hand together. And while this build is not fantastic, it can be fine. Like, you can beat the game with this, no problem. So the Mage Hand Legerdemain, we're going to pop that in. Failed scene. Well, it's our team that can see it. So it'll typically be invisible to enemies, and that can be quite a powerful thing to have, as you can have that run around, throw water bottles to set up your Ray of Frost, and then you can blast them with Ray of Frost, and it's pretty good. So yeah, sneak attack's kind of your best friend, so deal extra damage to a foe you have advantage on, and you get all your damage riders on top of that, which is really nice. So yeah, mirror image is going to be really important for this build, because that keeps your armor class very high and makes it so you live longer. So mirror image is fantastic. I think that's one of the better spells that we get. And then yeah, we also get the heal from the fighter, which just in a pinch is nice. But magic missile is kind of like the best way to go about this build, because having the ability to hit a magic missile and guarantee damage is just nice. So there it is, the Arcane Trickster build for Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.